What's up, everyone? It's your boy Mike. It's Thursday, and we're going to talk about using the restrooms in public. So, I'm sure most of you have heard about this whole fiasco in North Carolina that basically, basically forbidding trans people to use any public restroom or private restroom, but private restrooms can do whatever they please. Anyway, but basically prohibiting trans people from using any public restroom that doesn't match their assigned genitals, or just their genitals, period. Because I think the way that I understood it was that if you are pre-op in any way, shape, or form, you are not allowed to use the public restroom that you identify as. Whereas if you are post-op completely, both top and bottom, you're completely, then you are good to go. And a lot of people have been concerned about how they were going to enforce that. There were talks about genital checks and all that. I don't know what they're going to do with that. I don't live in that state, so I don't really know all the specifics about everything. But basically, they're trying to prohibit trans people from going into bathrooms that they identify with. So, just talking about using bathrooms in public in general, before I started testosterone, I was very uncomfortable using the men's room, and I would either go to a gender neutral bathroom that I could find. With me being at school, it was good because there was one pretty close in any general direction that you walked in on campus. So it was always good, and I pretty much only spent the most of my time that I wasn't in class in one building, which was the student union, and the floor that I would always be on had the gender neutral bathroom, so I would always use that. If I was out like in public places, I would, unless they had like single stall bathrooms, I would not really go into the men's restroom, but I would still feel really uncomfortable going into the women's restroom. So it was just really an uncomfortable situation, so I tried not to go to the restroom in public, period. But after I started taking tea, I started passing more, and I was able to feel more comfortable going into men's restrooms in public. And the thing that sucks about that is that that's really what it comes down to a lot of the times when using restrooms, is whether you're passing or not, passing as cis. And that's just really horrible because I identify as non-binary, but I also identify as a non-binary person that presents as masculine. So I present as a cis male, even though I don't necessarily identify that way. But the fact that I look that way is enough for me to not get second glances when I walk into the men's room. And the whole thing with using restrooms is just completely ridiculous. People want to pee, they should be able to pee, and it's just ridiculous. But I feel like with the way things are going now, it's almost becoming more of a safety issue. Like I don't agree with the fact that if you should only be allowed to use the restroom you identify with if you're passing, because like I said, I identify as non-binary. A lot of non-binary people don't want to pass as either a cis male or a cis female. They don't want to pass, and just not even non-binary people, even trans men and trans women, they don't necessarily want to pass. And some also don't have the resources to pass, because passing in itself really is a huge privilege. And I think a lot of people, especially trans men, forget that, and it leads to a lot of problems and a lot of arguments about the whole bathroom situation. But I digress on that. As I was saying before, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that you need to be passing to use public restrooms that you identify with, but I feel like at this point it's almost becoming sort of a safety thing. So I think that's generally what you should try to do, maybe. Like, I think it's better for you to go out and use a public restroom if you pass, but when it comes down to it, it's really about how safe you're being and how safe you are. And if you don't want to pass, or you don't pass, I think it's always good to have like a buddy system, to have someone go in there with you that may not necessarily get weird looks when they walk in there. So those are my opinions. Everyone has different opinions, but those are really mine. So, hey guys, we'll see you next Thursday for the next topic.